to episode 10. Double digits. What? Mind blowing. We're getting a little wild over here. The closer we got to double digits, the weirder I decided to get. Last week I was on the poll. If you missed that, I was trying to talk to you guys through a corded microphone while spinning around on a big piece of metal. Didn't work great, but I hope you all enjoyed it. And this week, I'm sitting here in my swimsuit, in my bikini, because it's July. And I want to talk about the elephant in the room in July, which is beach bodies. This is the time of year that some thoughts start to creep into my brain. And I thought maybe if they're creeping into my brain, they might be creeping into yours as well. This is the time of year where we start to go to the beach, go to the lake, go to the pool, just generally exist in a very hot weathered world, especially if you're here in New England. We've had a very hot summer so far. And I thought we should address some of those thoughts that might be creeping in as you start to undress a little bit more in this time of year. For me, right around May, June, I start to be in denial that it's almost time to be in a swimsuit out in the world. And by the time July hits, I am realizing that I've been dreading that time because the summer is when people talk about and look at your body more than any other time of year. But they do it all year long because, well, if you've been listening by now, you get it. The patriarchy, beauty standards, control, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of reasons. But the summer especially feels like everyone is hyper vigilant about one another's bodies and what they look like, especially in a swimsuit, especially in places that you go in the summer, the beach, the pool, etc. And a tiny, quiet little voice in my head, even though I do this work for a living to remind women that we are enough as we are, our body is the least important thing and interesting thing about us, I still have a tiny little voice that shows up right around this time of year when I get into the bikini and I hype myself up to go to the beach that asks questions that frankly, I'm embarrassed and ashamed of. My brain starts to be like, did we work out enough this year? Did we eat healthy enough? Is our skin clear enough to be in a swimsuit? All of these sentences ending with enough. Did I do enough to be worthy to be in this outfit in public? Which is so infuriating because there's nothing worse than being in a beautiful location with people you love and care about, with the sun beating down on your skin, in the nicest weather of the year, and having to silence or quiet that voice that's running in the background. It's exhausting. It's the last thing that you want to do when you're having a great time with these people that you care about, to sit there and say shh to those voices asking if you're enough. That's so much energy to be spending on questions and a voice that isn't even yours. But it's so incessant. It's in there. I know it because I hear mine too. And I am always having to remind myself, especially in the summer, that that voice does not belong to me. So today we're going to talk about whose voice is it, who benefits from you feeling this way about your body, and how can we quiet that voice this summer so that you can believe that every body is a bikini body. Every body is a beach body. Everybody deserves to enjoy the summer months, no matter what you are or are not wearing. Welcome back, my friends, to the Renaissance Room. This is episode 1010. We are talking all about beach bodies, bikini bodies, and why everybody deserves to be at the beach this summer. I am Katie, your host of the Renaissance Room podcast, Boudoir photographer, and your reminder that your body was never the problem. We're talking all about beauty standards today. What are they? Where do they come from? Who benefits from them? And why does this goalpost keep freaking moving on us? I got inspired to do this episode because I still have a lot of other topics I want to talk about. But like I said already, it's July. This is very timely. We are all in bikinis and swimsuits and going to the beach right now. So I wanted to talk about it now instead of in the middle of winter when we're all still hiding underneath our wintertime clothing. And the other reason is because I recently came across a Substack article by a woman who I follow on Instagram named Kathryn Budig. And I'm going to come back to this article a lot during this episode because it was really relevant for me, and I think maybe some pieces of it will feel really relevant for you all as well. But the reason I wanted to make this episode was like simply the title of the Substack article alone. The title was called, "Does This Joy Make Me Look Fat?" And we're going to get into some more about this article and this concept, but I just wanted to start the episode off by mentioning Kathryn's article. I will definitely link it into all the social media posts I make about this podcast episode so you too can read the article because I think it's really powerful. And for me, the title alone stopped me in my tracks. And then the article itself, I ended up crying behind my computer screen, but you'll hear more about that shortly. Let's recap beauty standards for a moment because we've talked about it in some other episodes, but maybe you're dropping in here in episode 10, or maybe you skipped a couple episodes. I wanted to recap. What is a beauty standard? I think we've all felt it. I think we know it exists, and maybe it's a little bit easier to identify it and see through it if we can actually define it with words. So let's do that together. A beauty standard is a culturally defined set of attributes that we as a society have decided are attractive or desirable at a certain period of time. And that certain period of time piece is really important in sort of like dismantling this beauty standard system because it keeps on changing. And we're going to talk about that as well. But the other reason that I think it's important to define beauty standards is to highlight the fact that these things aren't biological. They're not natural necessarily. They are culturally decided upon and then enforced. They're invented. And they're invented by the people who are going to keep benefiting from enforcing them upon you. We're talking about the beauty industry as a whole. And listen, I have consumed in this industry as well. I buy makeup. I get my hair highlighted. I spend a lot of money on beauty shit, okay? I am not like above anyone else because I'm sitting here explaining what the beauty standards are and what the beauty industry is. But I still think it's really important to talk about. And it's not just like this overarching beauty industry with just makeup and hair. I'm talking this anti-aging industry, like every single cream on the planet now has to help you not age. I'm talking about the diet industry, all of the things that you see all the time about this is how you can go from this body to this body if you just eat XYZ. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing things that make us feel good and confident and happy and healthy in our bodies. But I am saying we should have an awareness around these industries, what their motivations really are, so that we can make our own decisions of whether or not the things we want to do to feel better in our bodies are because we want that or because an industry wants us to believe that we want that. So those two things are sort of what we're going to try to bring a fine-tooth comb through and see where we can let go of some beauty standard ideals and ideas, and where we can say, you know what, I really like being blonde. I'm going to keep being blonde, not because the beauty industry told me to, but because I like it. So that's what we're going to work on today. One of the wildest parts about the beauty industry is how much fucking money they're making. Billions of dollars on you believing one thing, which is that you're not good enough and that you could be good enough if you buy this thing. Have I been victim to this? 1 billion times. Absolutely. 1000%. The most predatory part about this is that the beauty industry is finding things to tell you that's wrong with you that aren't just like inherently wrong that you can never fix, but things that are fixable, or at least fixable by this product that they're selling you, which gets real sticky real quick, right? And really the beauty industry and the beauty standard is not a description of what's beautiful. It's a fucking marketing strategy. And here's the key thing that I want us to remember during this bikini bod season, which is if you actually reach the standard that the beauty standard has set for you, then you're going to stop spending money on those things. So what does the beauty industry need to do to keep you spending your hard-earned money on their products? They have to move the goalpost. They have to change the standard. They have to change the thing that you're trying to achieve so that they keep getting your money. That's some shady shit. And not only are they getting you to spend your money, but they're getting you to spend your time, your energy, your morning routine, your nighttime routine. So many things that they're taking from you because of this predatory, sneaky marketing scheme. And I've said this in many episodes already, but a woman who is spending all of her time on achieving these beauty standards, all of these workout routines, skincare regimes, hair care, all of this stuff, if she's spending so many minutes a day thinking about these things and doing these things, she's not recognizing her worth, her power, and her voice that she has in this world because she's consumed by being enough, just physically even. Like, let alone, there's no discussion of like, are we learning new things in our brain? Are we learning new skills? Are we making new connections? The more we're obsessed with, is this body good enough, the less power we have. And distraction is unfortunately the point of it all. And beauty standards are very powerful distractions. So let's focus up, team. How are we going to stop being distracted by these all-consuming thoughts of if this is good enough, this belly is good enough, if this face is good enough, if these legs are good enough, if these nails are good enough? How are we going to focus up? Well, we're going to talk about it, but first I just want to prove to you that the goalpost is moving, okay? So let's just do a quick recap of a couple of the decades that we might be familiar with. Let's look at the 1950s beauty standard. Marilyn Monroe was what everyone wanted to achieve. Super hourglass figure, still pretty full busted, still hippie, and women did many things to look just like Marilyn Monroe. Like, came up with different bra shapes and types to make them look underneath their clothes like they had the same shape as Marilyn. Then another decade or so goes by. We're in the 60s. Twiggy is in, right? Boyish, androgynous, thin. The very curves that were celebrated the decade before are out. So anyone who's trying to achieve Marilyn Monroe 10 years later, you got to come up with a new body shape to be within the standard that the beauty industry wants you to look. We've got the 70s, hippy-dippy, sun-kissed, freckly California girl, no bra. 1980s, athletic. Suddenly, we're looking at Jane Fonda videos and like, women need to work out now. They didn't before. They just had to come up with ways to make their body look like whatever the in thing was at the time underneath their clothes. But now we're asking women, actually physically change your body. It was a time when fitness became a moral virtue. And now we're in the 90s. We've got Kate Moss as our ideal. You gotta be a size 0. This is when my idea of an quote-unquote ideal woman was formed. I was born in 1990, so the whole first 10 years of my life, I am looking at these tiny, thin, chic women who are getting criticized for being a size 2 even. And then the 2000s and the 2010s is like literally unattainable bodies, right? Like flat stomach, but still have curves in all the right places, don't have any cellulite, look like a Kardashian, get work done if you don't, tan, lip filler, Botox, so many new things introduced in the last 20 years alone. And I had a little bit of hope in the very beginning of the 2020s, which is when I started to get into Boudoir. And I felt a little bit hopeful that we were starting to ditch a few of these beauty standards and that we were starting to see women embracing their bodies as they are. We saw a lot of body positivity, even some body neutrality, and I was feeling very hyped, very excited to be a part of this movement of women accepting their bodies. And then in the past 2 or 3 years, we've entered this really odd and strange world of another way for thinness to be glorified. which is the world of GLP-1s. And I want to be really careful here with this conversation around GLP-1s because I have many people in my life who I love who take this medication, who need this medication, and who benefit from this medication. And I want to be very clear that I am not here to judge anyone's decision to take or to not to take a GLP-1. It's your body, it's your choice, it's your decision, it's your health. I will always be on team your body, your choice. I am not judging you if you or someone you love and care about is on a GLP-1, okay? Just want to make that clear. But it is a very prominent moment in time right now, in beauty standards, in history, really. So I'm not here to judge you or anyone you know or love who takes this medication, as I too have a lot of loved ones who use it and love it. I am here simply to talk about how this is the beginning of the next beauty standard, and it's recycled. We have been here. We have been glorifying thinness before. We're back. We just have new tools and a new thing to sell you. I'm just here to help you notice the pattern of an industry who wants you to look a certain way so that they can profit. And we're not going to change the pharmaceutical industry, the beauty industry, the diet industry. We're not going to change any of those industries overnight. But if you can make that little voice in the back of your head a tiny bit quieter by understanding that some of these voices don't belong to you. They belong to these industries that have been whispering in your ear, making you think it's your voice that's saying those things. So we're back in the next version, the next updated iOS of beauty standards, where we're not meant to achieve the thing that the beauty industry is trying to convince us that we can achieve if we use their product. We are meant to chase it. And I am tired of running. Are you guys tired of running? I'm tired. I don't want to chase it anymore. And I'm tired because of the way I've been feeling the last year. Again, even as someone who for a living tells women that they are already beautiful and worthy and wonderful exactly as they are, I have struggled in this Ozempidemic, as they're calling it. I have even questioned, do I want to take a GLP-1? And that voice scares me, which brings me back to that article that Kathryn wrote on Substack called, Does This Joy Make Me Look Fat? And in the article, Kathryn talks a lot about what we as a society often call a divorce bod. So she got divorced as well. I don't know the details of her divorce, but I know that even if you have a lovely, amicable, friendly divorce, you can still go through a lot of emotional turmoil. So I don't know what happened for her, but she describes how she noticed that her body got smaller during her divorce, and she got a lot of attention for that, a lot of positive attention from a lot of people in her life. And she talks a lot about how guilty she felt about that and how yuck it felt to be acknowledged and noticed and praised for the way that your body looks, even though your body looks that way because you are going through a very difficult thing. And I relate to that so deeply because when I was getting divorced, the year or so leading up to it and a few of the months after it, I was probably in this one of the smallest versions of my body I've ever been in. And I too got a lot of attention for that. I got it from friends, I got it from family, I got it from men, I got it from strangers on the internet. And when something in your life is going poorly, or when you're mourning something, or when you're sad or anxious or stressed, it can feel really good to receive some of those compliments that, because of the system that we have, make you feel safe, right? Like sometimes the beauty standards make me feel safe because I feel like, okay, if I'm within these boundaries and these borders of the standard of right now of the world, then I'm safe because society will accept me. So some of those compliments at that time, when I was leading up to maybe getting divorced, when I was debating whether I was queer or not and hadn't told anybody, when I did come out, when I did get divorced, when I moved into my parents' house, I lost some weight because those were big things. Those were a lot of anxiety provoking things. I had no fucking idea what was coming next in my life for the first time ever, right? Like, up until this point, I had done everything I thought I was supposed to do. I went to school. After you go to school, you go to some more school. After you go to some more school, you get a job. Then you meet someone. Then you get married. Then you buy a house. Then you have babies. And like, I sort of like record scratched the very middle of that part of life. I was like, oh, I did all the things up till marriage and house. And now I'm like, ooh, is this the thing that I want? Am I being my most authentic self? Feels really scary to be my most authentic self, but I don't know. I don't know what will come after this. I had no idea what was going to come next. I was no longer playing by the script. And that really did a number on me. So I lost my appetite and I lost some weight. And I got noticed for it. And that made me feel sick too. But the thing that felt even ickier than that was what happened when I started to put that weight back on. Because I came out, I was more or less accepted by most people in my life. I met my girlfriend. I became a bonus mom. I moved my business back to the city. I did all of these things that my nervous system started to feel more regulated in. They felt like I was in the place I was supposed to be. Maybe I didn't know the future, but I felt safe. And then my appetite came back. And then I fell in love. And then we went out to lots of fun restaurants. And then I got to do more traveling. And I got to eat delicious food in places I'd never been. And guess what? All of that meant the weight came back. And the thing that I noticed the most when that happened was the silence. It was the silence of the people who had been complimenting me on my body when it got smaller and how they didn't have anything to say anymore. It was when I would go out to coffee with a friend who had previously said, "You look great, you look amazing, you look incredible," when I was going through one of the hardest things in my life, and then they said nothing. Or the silence that I heard when I visited certain family or friends who usually can't wait to feed me and tell me I look too thin. Here, eat this meal I made for you because I love you and I want to feed you. And the silence when I would show up to those places in this body that had gained some weight was deafening. And I craved the compliments that I was no longer receiving. And that was what made me feel the ickiest, because I know I don't need those compliments. I know that my body is the least interesting thing about me, and I still craved those compliments that told me I'm still within those beauty standards and I'm still safe and I'm still worthy. And I'm not proud. I'm not proud that that's how I felt. I hated that I missed those compliments. But now that I'm sort of clawing my way out of this yucky feeling, I am realizing that this is proof of how powerful this system is. Because if even I, who dedicate my days, all of my days, basically my whole life, to helping women see that their bodies are already beautiful, that the beauty standards are bullshit, that you don't have to be a certain size to be sexy, even I can be manipulated by the beauty standards. So imagine all of the women out there who aren't spending every waking moment thinking about this, all of the women who aren't doing this job, how powerful and like invisible the beauty standards feel. For me, I felt a lot of shame that I felt both happy and elated and safe when I got compliments for having a smaller body, and also guilty and shitty when those compliments stopped and I wanted them back. But I gained my power back when I noticed those things. When I said, oh, that's so interesting. I didn't notice at the time how much I liked those compliments. Or, oh, that's so interesting. I didn't notice how much I was craving those compliments back once they left. And noticing those voices is really the first step to not chasing the beauty standards that the industry wants you to chase. It's just saying, oh, there's that voice. That's interesting that it said that. And saying, oh, maybe it's not mine. Maybe that's not my voice. Because my voice knows better. That must be the beauty industry's voice. Sneaking in there, once again, like a little earworm, trying to convince me I need to buy some shit. I need to change some shit. One of my other big takeaways from Kathryn's article was that if you can try to not compliment people's bodies, even if it feels like it's a good thing, to say, oh my God, you look so great. Did you lose weight? Or like, oh my God, you look so fabulous. Like, did you lose a couple pounds? Even if that feels like a compliment, we should not be commenting on people's bodies because we have no idea what they're going through. They might have achieved that smaller body through a lot of grief and sadness and depression and struggle. And it's just not our place to comment on people's bodies. Give someone a compliment about how they're glowing or how their eyes look with the t-shirt color that they're wearing, or that they look like they floated into the coffee shop today because they seem so happy, like what's going on in their life. Those are compliments that have nothing to do with how someone looks, but still makes them feel seen and like you care about what's happening with them. Because by saying, oh my God, you look so thin, you look wonderful, that really kind of shuts the door for a friend or a family member to say anything about what's really happening for them, right? Like, what's someone supposed to say after you say that if they're going through a hard time? Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm literally fucking miserable, but my bod is tea. Like, that sucks. That sucks for them if you're complimenting them on their body and they're struggling so much. So I know it's really hard. I am trying to break the habit too. It's a hard habit to break, especially among women and friends. So together we can work on it because we have no idea what everybody's going through at any given time and what that means for their bodies. So what does this all have to do with beach bodies, Katie? And why are you still sitting here talking to us in your bikini? Well, at the end of this article that I read by Kathryn, she talks about how she also gained some weight back after her divorce and how she realized that, yes, indeed, maybe her joy does add a few pounds onto her body. That when she started spending time with friends again and having an appetite again, some of those pounds came back. And the compliments also disappeared for her. And the very end of her article, she mentions this sentence that I love. First of all, she calls bodies a meat suit, which is incredible. And I always call it a meat sack, and my girlfriend hates it. But I love this idea. It helps me cope with things, that we are just a bunch of fucking meat sacks on this big old marble in this big massive universe. And who fucking cares what this thing is that I drag around with me in life, because this meat sack is what gives me the opportunity to experience this world and this life. So I love this concept of your meat skin, your meat sack, your meat suit, whatever you want to call it. But she talks about how she never signed some contract with the universe or with her God or your God or my God or any God that said, I have to live in the same meat sack for the rest of my life. We never signed a contract that says my meat sack when it's 36 has to look like it did when it was 26 or 16. We never signed shit. Nobody said that this body has to look the same as it did yesterday or the month before or 2 years before or 20 years before. There is no contract. And if you think you signed one, feel free to fucking rip it up with me, like metaphorically right now. So we do not have to look like we did any other time in our lives. There is no contractual obligation to stay young, to stay thin. None of it. It's like all about the beauty standards. It's a made-up concept. It's the system trying to convince us to buy more shit. Anti-aging shit. Diet industry shit. We signed no contract. You're under no obligation. Let it go. I'm going to let it go too. Rip it up. No contract was signed. You can be in the body you're in right now, and there's nothing fucking wrong with that. So why am I talking about beach bodies and meat sacks? Okay? Well, because I, as I'm sure you, want to enjoy the rest of my summer in my meat sack without a bunch of guilt and shame and shitty feelings. So I want to talk about how every body is a beach body, no matter what it looks like. It does not have to look like what it looked like last year or even last month, okay? I want the beauty standard to stop stealing beach days from us, or pool days, or lake days. I want us all to go to the beach and know that our body is worthy of being there in any swimsuit we want. I want us all to go to the beach and not worry about wearing a cover-up. Summer is happening right now. You have a body. It is inherently a bikini body. Go live your best beach life, bitch. Your body is not a before and after photo. It is a body that's living right now. And it should take up the space that it's entitled to take. You're allowed to take up space at the beach, at the pool, at the lake, in any fucking room you're in. So together we're going to start unlearning some of these beauty standard beliefs, okay? So that we can go to the beach and let a wave crash into us and get salt in our hair and our skin and put on sunscreen and enjoy being out in the world in a body that's deserving of existing exactly how it is right now. So what are we going to do? How are we going to unlearn these beliefs? Number one, we are going to start noticing. Just noticing the little voice. You don't have to tell it to shut up. You don't have to make it disappear. You just have to start noticing when thoughts pop into your head that seem like they might not belong to you. They might belong to a beauty standard, to the beauty industry, to somebody who's trying to make money off you. And you can just let that thought float away. The second thing that can help with that is wondering who's benefiting from that thought that you just had. Is it the anti-aging industry? Is it the diet industry? Is it plastic surgery industry? And then remembering that you feeling bad about that thing that you just thought about, that thought that isn't your thought, you feeling bad about that is their marketing plan. That is their business model. And you are their customer, even though you aren't really consenting to being their customer. And knowing that doesn't make it go away, but it does loosen its grip that it might have on you a little bit. And the third one is to put yourself in spaces that you feel safe taking up room, that you feel like you can connect back to your body, like we've talked about. Maybe that's pole, maybe that's dance, maybe that's going to the beach with a specific set of friends that you know are going to give you compliments about things about you that aren't your body. And if you can start to implement those three things, you're on the road to undoing some of this like incessant messaging that the beauty standard is giving you. So noticing the voice, questioning who's benefiting from it, and then putting yourself in spaces that your body feels safe to take up room, to take up space. And I hope you can start to implement some of these things this summer as you are going to your beaches and your vacations, because you were not put on this earth to spend your time and energy and money on making your body acceptable to an invisible system that wants to just profit off of you. Not to mention, this system's just going to change the rules on you next year anyway. That is not your purpose on this planet. Your purpose is to live. The beauty standard's going to move again. You're going to have to chase something new next year if you spend this year chasing the specific thing that it's peddling to you. Your body is the only body that you get, and summer is happening right now. So go to the beach, wear the bikini, feel the sand between your toes, and enjoy life in the body that you have right now. We started this episode talking about a voice that pops into my head every summer around this time, and maybe it pops into yours too. A voice that shows up without my permission and probably without yours. And I'm just going to end the episode reminding you that that voice is not your fault, and it is not your voice. It is the voice of the industry, the beauty industry, the diet industry, all of it. And it has been a voice handed down to us for so many generations, ever since we were little girls who were handed our very first swimsuit and said, here, wear this, but only if you look this way. It has been here a long time. It will probably be here a long time after us, and we don't have to burn it down all overnight. We can start with these tiny little checks. What was that voice? Who does it benefit? And how can I keep putting myself in spaces where I feel safe to be in this body exactly as it is right now? Speaking of summer, I know that we've made it all the way to double digits, episode 10. Thank you so much for listening so far. I appreciate each and every one of you who have listened to even a millisecond of this podcast. That being said, I think I am going to take the rest of the summer off from podcasting because I want to go enjoy this body in this bikini on a beach with my friends and my family. So I'm going to take a little breaky break for some of the summer. I'm going to probably come back in September, maybe a little bit earlier, depends on how the next couple months go. But I want to take everything that I've learned about editing, producing video, audio, and reflect on like what is and isn't working. I want to sort of look at the format of the podcast. Do I want to bring guests on now that I've sort of like mastered all these new pieces of editing? Mastered is a little bit generous, but now that some of these new podcasting things aren't so new to me anymore, I want to decide, do I want to have people in sometimes into the studio for episodes? Do I want to Zoom call people? Do I want to interview people? What do I want to do for the rest of the format? So consider this the first half of season 1 of the Renaissance Room podcast, and the second half of season 1 will come in the fall. So if you have suggestions, ideas, recommendations, if you want to be on the pod, if you want to be a guest, let me know. I've really, really enjoyed making this, and I also have spent a lot of time making this, so I'm looking for like a tiny little bit of a break for these last like 5 or 6 weeks of the summer. So if you have not listened to episodes 1 through 9 yet, you can do that for the rest of the summer. If you really want to play catch up, you can go back 5 years and listen to my old podcast, the Picture Imperfect Pod, if you really miss me in your earphones. And you can always stay caught up in what I'm doing on Instagram or my website. And I'll miss you guys for these next couple weeks, but you can catch me probably twerking in my swimsuit on the beach on my Instagram for the rest of the summer. So don't worry, you will still get to see me. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to catch up on all the old episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and you can even watch them on YouTube if you aren't already doing that. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your summer and take that body of yours out to a fucking beach, okay? You have a beach bod, babe. Get out there, enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Big kisses. Thank you so much for supporting me all the way to double-digit podcast episodes. I love you all.